What's it gonna be? Not since I was at the Academy. Anyway.
Hey everyone, I'm wearing a diaper. So, do I know romance or what? What? I said, do I know romance? I heard you. I'm Phineas and Ferb.
I'm Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz, but my friends call me... I just got such a funk. Easily.
Remember any of today?
That's right.
Good.
Woo!
Isabella. Wait.
But yours may have laser eyes, but mine breathes. Those are stupid designs.
It's young pea squirrels in my pants. Candace party! Candace party! And I was always right, you're busted.
The chicken goes, the dog goes, and the world goes. Outstanding, Agent W. Agent C, don't do that.
My goody two-shoes brother, the favorite of my mother, is the one I want to smother in the town of Pigeon Grove.
Phineas and Ferb, make some more noise! Well, I anticipate that a lot of you already know what's about to come up next on this stage. So make some noise if you are a huge Phineas and Ferb fan. I see you've got the phone cover, you've got the stuffing. Oh wow, you've all got them. Okay, this is excellent. So, Disney Plus, the Disney Plus stage, the Disney Plus Pavilion. We are so thrilled to have you here. We love that you've already found some space on here. If you see a little bit of space in front of you, go ahead and scoot up just a little bit so that we can get more people with room to sit down. We're all family in here. We're all big Phineas and Ferb fans. Yeah, yes. And you got front row this time. Good work. Yes. So now, everyone, without further ado, please give a warm welcome to our moderator, Variety's TV editor, Mike Schneider.
Woo!
All right, I know what we're gonna do today. They spent the summer and over 126 episodes building a roller coaster, traveling to outer space, playing with time travel, and discovering the lost city of Atlantis, opening the hippest restaurant in the tri-state area, and saving the world with some help of some Marvel superheroes.
Woo!
I want to bring on the creators and also one of the stars of Phineas and Ferb right now. First off, creator and executive producer, plus he plays Major Monogram, Mr. Swampy, Marsh. Next up, he's also the creator and executive producer, and of course, Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz. Dan Povenmire. And finally, one of the stars of Phineas and Ferb, he voices Phineas Flynn, Vincent Martella.
Yeah! Woo! Woo!
You guys are back.
We're back!
Let's go back to the very beginning, actually. Looking back on this beloved Disney Channel animated series. Why don't you guys first tell us how you first met and how you first got started?
When we first met, we were very, very young. I think we have a picture of that. That's us. When we first started, okay, no, we weren't quite that young. We were, but as you can see, there's no gray hair. That's the big difference.
You guys are still. What year is this?
This was probably 2008. I think we'd been working on the show for like 2 years at this point. We had not, with the pilot and getting it done. So
we met in the 90s, like early 90s, when we were working on another show.
Yeah.
Sitting across the aisle from each other at The Simpsons.
Yeah. And then we were writing together on a show at another network, as they say. And I went to a restaurant in South Pasadena that had butcher paper instead of a tablecloth, and they would give you a little can of crayons and say, "Here, doodle while you're waiting for your food." And I drew this triangle-headed kid, and I think this is the original, the very first drawing of Phineas. And it's all torn out there because I liked the drawing so much, I tore it out, and I took it home, and Swampy and I were trying to come up with a show we could do together. And so I took it home and drew Doofenshmirtz and Perry and Ferb that night. This is the very first picture of Phineas and Ferb together. As you can tell, they've changed a little bit, but you would still recognize who they are.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw them. And then we started pitching that around at the time. The fun thing about this is not only is Perry not teal in this, but it's the bugs. The bugs were part of the original pitch, and then we took it out because we felt like we had too much stuff in it, and we put them back in like third season for Doof 101, and then they were in the Alpha Files and stuff.
And that still has my original ska-themed Phineas and Ferb logo.
That's right.
It was really in the two-tone.
And the famous story about Perry is you guys decided there aren't any animated platypus out there, so you were kind of trying to come up with an original animal that hadn't been done in animation.
Animated platypuses were very thin on the ground at that time.
Yeah.
And if you do something that nobody else has done, then you sort of claim that mental real estate for people. Like before Shrek, you could say ogre to somebody and they wouldn't, like everybody knew the word, but they didn't have an ogre in mind. And now when you say ogre to somebody, they think of Shrek. We felt like we could claim that same thing with platypus, and now for a whole generation, I think if you say platypus to them, they get Perry in their mind.
Yeah, they Perry. They sing it too.
Yeah, exactly.
The other nice thing is if you use an animal like a platypus, you can make stuff up. Nobody knows that you made it up.
No, that sound, by the way, that
Only
sound.
true. Yeah, that's not a platypus sound.
You know what, Swampy? I just found out that that's not too far from the sound a platypus makes.
Wow.
Somebody sent me an audio of this weird noise a platypus makes.
Somebody probably,
It's not that far off.
probably somebody just made that up and told you.
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't check it out.
So, Vincent, how did you get involved with this show, and what's it like now being back as the voice of Phineas?
Well, it's pretty amazing, I gotta tell you. It wouldn't really feel like summer without Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, no, I got involved because they let me come in and do some funny voices and showed me the art of Phineas and kind of gave me a rundown of what he was like and how creative and energetic he was, and I just wanted to give him a voice that
It would be hard to ever imagine him ever being sad.
it only really happens once or twice in the series. He gets angry, of course, when someone doesn't get on a trike.
Woo!
Which would anger anybody, truly.
Get on the train.
But being back is fantastic. I love getting to come in and play Phineas. It's been the coolest opportunity of my life just these last, how many years? 13 years that I've been living with Phineas. So it's been crazy. It's been
When we
crazy.
started this, you were what, 5?
Yeah, I was 2 years old. No, but when you drew Phineas for the first time, I believe that was the year I was born. You drew him in 1992, right?
In 1992-93.
Yeah.
That original drawing is from 92 or 93. It took us 13 years just to sell it.
Yeah.
And
that timed out perfectly for me, so I'm sorry that happened, that it took so long for both of you, but timing-wise, we all met up. Right.
I think it worked out well for everybody.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Because we're here right now, yeah.
Well, let's hear some favorite memories from the original run of the series, and
Like behind the scenes kind of.
and also from the show itself. So, any favorite memories from working on the series, or anecdotes, and stories that kind of stick in your mind?
There were a lot of fun things that happened, and certain ways that we worked. I remember being in a meeting about an entirely different thing, and Swampy was taking notes furiously. And we were talking about some other episode or something, and with the executives, and he's over there writing notes. I'm like, man, Swampy is paying much closer attention in this meeting than I am. Maybe I should be paying close attention. I was like, what is he writing down? What is so important that's happening? And then we came out, and he handed me his notes, and he had just written the entire chorus to My Goody Two Shoes Brother.
Oh my God.
The favorite of my mother is the one I want to cover in a ton of pigeon goo. The sad part is I thought, Dan's listening to the meeting, so I can get on with this, and when it's done, I'll ask him what it's about. And I said, so what was the meeting about? He said, I have no idea. I was mesmerized by watching you take notes. We never knew what that meeting was about.
And just working in an animation studio, there's a lot of weird creative pranks that go on. When here we go.
Yeah, I remember this.
When Rob Hughes was out of town, he went out of town for 3 weeks, and this is one of our directors. And we spent the entire 3 weeks covering his office in Post-it notes.
Time well spent, honestly.
And Vincent came in and helped. Different voice actors came in and helped.
Filmed the video and wrote a song about it.
It was so much fun. But we've done this, and I don't recommend doing it because it takes so long with Post-it. Use like tin foil or toilet paper or something you can roll out. These we had to put on one at a time. This was the entire staff's break time for 3 weeks.
And the day he got back, we filmed him opening the door from it, a camera set up. So we got to see his reaction. Very shortly after that, the guys came in to tell him it was a fire hazard and he had to take it down immediately.
And nobody
helped him.
Everybody helped put it up, and he had to take it all down himself.
Pretty harsh. What about favorite guest stars, favorite moments from the show, favorite inside gags? I still love Love Handle. I still have Pitchy Goo in my head every once in a while.
There's a lot of things that just sort of happened accidentally. Like the giant floating baby head. Do you guys remember that? Giant floating baby. That was just something that one of our board artists put into the Halloween episode as something scary. We said, just put a bunch of scary stuff in this hallway. And he put in a giant floating baby head. And we were like, what the heck is wrong with Mike Dietrich that he thinks this is?
I think one of my favorite guest star kind of things that happened is I was living in Florida still, and I was still in high school, and I got a video from them hanging out with Slash, writing music with Slash in a music studio, and him making fun of me for not being there because I was the lead singer of the song. And he was like, "You're such like a lead singer not to show up to band practice," and I didn't even know what we were doing. And they wrote a song with Slash, and they let me sing it. So that was kind of the coolest thing that's ever happened to me.
And what did Slash say when he finally met you? What did he say?
He told me he was a big fan of mine. He
said, man, I'm kind of starstruck
right now. Yeah,
right
a little starstruck meeting you, and I could hardly speak to him because he had his top hat on and everything, but it was crazy.
Yeah, you couldn't really see his eyes.
But. No.
There were also things that would happen accidentally backstage, not backstage, but behind the drawing pad, where we would send it overseas to be animated, and do we have the Viking clip? Okay, so
science is far beyond us. The Viking is right. I feel this puppet is telling us to look into our souls and find the power to embrace love for all humanity.
Hey everyone, the Viking is right. So this guy kept making appearances. The reason he was there the first time is because sometimes we'd be so in such a hurry to do stuff, they would just label the incidental characters that were in the scene. They would go into the model pack of characters that have already been designed, and we'd just draw basic heads and expressions, and they would label these characters, and they mislabeled one from a different model pack that was a Viking. So it came back, and it's a bunch of people standing around a Danville street, and the Viking has this line, and we were like, and we looked, and sure enough, that was the number we had given them. Somebody had mislabeled it, and I was like, well, instead of us spending a lot of time to reanimate it, let's just add another line for somebody else to say, the Viking is right, because this guy was saying something else at the time, and we just like changed the line to that and made a gag out of it, and we kept going. And those were my favorite things in the humor that would come out of, like, for instance, this clip coming up is Doofenshmirtz learning guitar from Jeremy, and what he was supposed to say was, I'm gonna take over the tri-state area! And then just stay there, and then there was gonna be this long pause, and then Jeremy was gonna say his line, like a long dramatic pause, just for humor. And when they sent us back the animation, they didn't close his mouth. So he was going, tri-state area! And we're like, we're gonna have to change that. And we called a retake. And then when we got into the voice replacement session, we hadn't had the correct animation in yet. So I, watching it, just went, well, you'll see here.
And once I learn to play it, I can summon the aliens to me, and I will become overlord of the tri-state area!
Have you considered switching to decaf?
So I just kept saying it as long as his mouth was open, and Swampy said, okay, we're gonna have to cancel that retake, because we want to use that.
This was much funnier.
Well, even now that you look back at this experience, can you believe the impact this show has had on pop culture, the longevity, and the fact, by the way, now people are going to be able to re-binge the entire series on Disney Plus. You watch all, well, there's like over 126 episodes, but then when you like do individual, there's more than 200 segments to this show. But nonetheless, talk about the lasting impact of this show.
This is exactly what I assumed was going to happen when we created the show, specifically.
With that butcher block paper.
This moment where we were here.
Back in the day when you guys were scrolling.
It's much bigger than we thought it was going to be. I think we have a little compilation.
There's 104 days of summer vacation, and school comes along just to end it. So the annual problem for our generation is finding a good way to spend it. Like maybe building a rocket, or fighting a mummy, or climbing up the Eiffel Tower. Discovering something that doesn't exist, or giving a monkey a shower. Surfing tidal waves, creating nanobots, or locating Frankenstein's brain. It's over here! Finding a dodo bird, painting a continent, or driving our sister insane. As you can see, there's a whole lot of stuff to do before school starts this fall. Come on, Barry! So stick with us, cause Phineas and Ferb are gonna do it all. Doofenshmirtz illuminate inside. Doofenshmirtz abandoned that complete factory.
Thing that happened was to have that Phineas and Ferb dance party over in California Adventure. That was
very cool. Yeah,
that was the cool thing. We knew that was happening, and we were working on the movie at the time, so at the Disney Channel movie, and they had sent us an email saying, "Oh, by the way, the show at the parks is up and running, so next time you're there, check it out." And I said, okay, cool, but we were so busy I didn't think about it. And then I went with my daughters and my wife just to the parks just because we were going, because I had 2 kids. And suddenly I was like walking around like, wait a minute, I think there's a Phineas and Ferb show happening here. I think I saw an email that said that, so I went and asked somebody, and they said, oh yeah, it's starting right over there. And I took the girls over, and they're like complaining, and like, hey, it's sort of hot, can we go get on this ride? And they're like, no, wait. And 2 minutes later, they came in and did this whole big thing, and the kids were like, Daddy, do you hear that? That's the Phineas and Ferb theme. And they came over, and me and my wife just sort of cried and hugged each other and laughed.
Aww.
And I was glad nobody was looking at us because they would have thought we were having a psychotic break.
Let's talk about Milo Murphy's Law real quick.
Woo! Yeah!
But that's so nice. Piper.
The follow-up show, and we've started to see Doof has sort of become a recurring character.
Yeah, we sort of spun on. Instead of it being a spin-off, it was a new show, and then we spun it back onto Phineas and Ferb, which was nice.
Yeah.
It is all going to be available on the Disney Plus site as well.
Woo!
The entire
Yeah.
show. We, who knows? Maybe it will find a whole new audience. I was so pleased that people actually knew what the show was.
Yes.
So quite often I introduce myself, people ask what I do, I say Phineas and Ferb, they get all excited, and then I say, we also did the show Milo Murphy's Law, and they're like, so I would love it if it had found an audience.
Woo!
On Disney Plus.
It's Weird Al. It's
Yes.
a fantastic follow-up. What else are you guys most excited about in terms of having both of these shows now available on Disney Plus?
I think just having a place where people can think about an episode and go see that specific episode. It's like, that's something for me. I often think, I'd sort of like to see this episode of a series, or specifically this episode of Phineas and Ferb sometimes. And I like that being a place where you can go and see it. In lieu of DVDs and stuff like that, that seems to be where people find it.
And also, you're excited about what's next.
Well, as I said, we're back!
Yes!
We're doing a Phineas and Ferb movie for Disney Plus.
Woo!
It may be the first feature on Disney Plus, I don't know. And this is the first glance anybody gets at our logo.
Yeah!
This is it.
And the title. This is the
official title.
You guys have no idea how many meetings were spent to get to this title and this title.
So the basic plot of the movie is Candace gets picked up by aliens and taken off, and the boys have to go rescue her and get her back. And it's this big, sweeping, epic story that has like 9 or 10 new songs.
Yes! Woo!
And they really gave us the time to make it really good. I think it's one of the best things we've done, and I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Woo!
On that note, we now have some trivia questions. We got some Phineas and Ferb fans in the audience. All right, well, we're going to call out on some of you. Major